All right, we're live, everybody. Oh, cool. Too bad. One, two, three. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dragons Fan Guide podcast. Last episode for 2022. I will be joined any minute by the great YouTuber Entertain House. He will be on very short minutes. So be waiting for him, but this will be my last podcast. I started out doing this, just talking to some players. Then I started to do this only recently. So to say I've done quite a few of these now. I hope I'm more experienced. I will just be waiting for hello, everybody. Everybody.
Hello there.
Hello, and can you hear me, mate?
Yeah, mate, I can hear you well. How are you?
Are you on? How are you? Good. How you doing? It's gonna kick on the live in 1, 2, 3. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dragons Fan Guide podcast, the last episode for 2022. And I am joined by special guests, the great YouTuber Entertain House. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, mate, I'm doing well. I've had about
I've had about two
cup Argentina versus France. I'm looking forward to talking some footy.
You might need to fix your audio, mate. You're cutting out. I can only hear one word at a time. You're saying it's breaking up. So I'll see if I can make this louder.
What if I hold it like this? Is it better when I hear it? Can you hear better like that?
It's mine. We try.
Is that better?
You good now, mate?
I think so. Can you hear me now? Don't know. How's that now, mate? Is that better?
We good, mate? Can you hear me?
Yeah, mate. Can you hear me?
Yep, I think it's fixed up now. It was kind of breaking up, so I think we're all good.
Oh, sweet. There we go. Much better.
All right. I'll just restart it and I'll edit the video. So sorry, everybody. This video has gone a little bit longer. We've had little technical difficulties, so I'll just reintroduce my guest. Everybody, welcome to the Dragons Fan Guy last podcast of 2022. Special guest Entertain House. How you going, mate? And welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on board tonight for the last show. I'm doing well, mate. I've had 2 hours sleep today. I was watching the World Cup, Argentina versus France. Classic sporting match, that one. But looking forward to talk a bit of footy as we get closer to the 2023 season.
So the first question, we're not going to go in order. Who's your favourite and least favourite signing for 2023 from any club?
Oh, mate, I've always loved Reid Marnie, and it's going to suck having him at the Bulldogs, but I think the Bulldogs having a hooker is so big. They've had Jeremy Marshall-King there in recent years, but they've genuinely got a good side, and now they've got that dummy half player. The same could be said about the Tigers, but getting Coruscant. But for me, I think Reid Marnie is probably going to be that signing of the year, and the form that he could be in with the team around him could be some incredible Origin level form. But then again, he's got to contest with players like Ben Hunt and Harry Grant. As for my least favourite signing, well, caught me off guard there, but off the top of my head, I can't think of a bad one. I actually, off the top of my head, can't think of a bad signing.
Or one one you question, you don't think they might be the right fit for that particular club?
Well, I wonder how much firepower David Klemmer's got at the Tigers. I think the Tigers are a team that's starting to take slow steps in the right direction. For the most part, it hasn't been great. But if I've thought one signing was questionable, I probably think that Swap. I think they've lost out on Jackson Hastings. So, look, the Tigers losing Hastings and replacing their forward pack with David Klemmer, look, provides experience, but compared to Hastings, I don't think it's a good signing.
And I'll just give mine as well. So I think the best one is Bilamaui Kikau going to the Bulldogs, in my opinion. He's a big loss for Penrith, but I think he's the best signing, in my opinion. And the worst signing, I think, is one of your guys is Josh Hodgkins for Parramatta. I think, personally, he's too old and too injury prone to last the full season. Because, in my opinion, one more injury for him and he's done. Like it.
Right, he is injury prone, but look, we've seen him compete in a grand final. We've seen him play some great footy over the years, so hopefully he can get back to his best. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting signing by the club, to say the least, that one. But
I will tell you, mate, my uncle's watching this and he's a huge Parramatta supporter. So
there you go. Parramatta stuff in the background for him. I've got the old plaque there, and then I've got the 21st birthday engraving there in the background. So shout out.
So we'll move on. What's your favourite venue to watch NRL at?
Look, I could be biased here and say it's Bankwest. I think Bankwest has really grown on me as well, based on the fact how much I go there. Look, I'm there every fortnight, every week. But for me, I've always had this thing about Suncorp. Now, I think I've been there 4 times. Been there for Origin last year, which was incredible. And every time I sit, I can just see the entire field at both of these stadiums. There's a few stadiums I've been to where I'm like, you can't really see the whole field. One of those examples being the new Allianz Stadium. So for me, the best stadium to watch footy is probably Bankwest Stadium. But the best stadium overall is probably Suncorp. They've got more food variety, different options like that. So, yeah, look, I'd say Bankwest for watching footy. You can watch it anywhere and see the whole field.
And what's the venue you think's the worst to watch it at?
Look, I'm not a big fan of Shark Park or Brookvale. I like the atmosphere of Shark Park, but as for the actual stadium, it's too far away to look. It's a long trip as well. Obviously, if you live down there, it's not. But I've never really been a big fan of Shark Park. So I would probably say, even after being redesigned, that Shark Park's probably my least favourite stadium to watch footy at.
It's not the greatest one, but I've not been there for NRL. I've been there for reserve grade, but I think, in my opinion, the best one is to watch at Wing Stadium, Dragons' home ground. And I'd say the worst one I've been to is the Sydney Cricket Ground to watch it from.
Oh yeah, Sydney Cricket Ground's right up there as well. Watch Roosters, Panthers. Anzac match there as well.
It's just not the cricket grounds. Personally, I don't think they should play any NRL at them. Being a circle, you sit so far back. I'd rather just sit home and watch it on TV. Get a better view on telly.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to Wollongong WIN Stadium. I haven't been there actually, but I'm going there next year for the Dragons versus St Helens, which will be great.
Yeah, we'll have to catch up, mate. I'll be there for that one.
Yep, I'm excited to vlog that one.
I'm going to be at that one. I think that's my first game there at Wing Stadium, I think. But I can't keep track. I go to so many games, it's hard to keep a track on it. But it is a really good stadium. It just sucks with the parking.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've always been a fan of the Cogra one. I like the Dragons Cogra one. I go to quite a few Dragons games, but it's been on the bucket list for a while. WIN Stadium, just a little bit far for me.
So the other question I've got for you is, if you could be stuck on an island and you could only get 4 NRL players to save you, who would you pick? They can be from any generation, any team, currently, in the past, any player.
All right. Well, I'll probably stick more to current based off on my head, so I don't get too confused. But Well, you got to have someone. You got to have someone to keep you entertained. You got to have an entertainer, someone funny with a bit of character. So I'm going to go with the recently re-signed Dylan Brown, Parramatta Eel. He also from New Zealand, so maybe he knows how to prepare meals on the island. You know, he might be a good cook. Be able to catch some fish and things like that. You definitely got to have someone big and strong. So, look, we could probably go a pass player here. Maybe Gordon Tallis to crack open the coconuts to survive on the coconut juice and things like that. You got to have someone who's very skillful to be able to build those huts, the accommodation and shelter. And look, you've probably got to go with someone like, it's a tough one. I'll go Andrew Johns. So Andrew Johns, Gordon Tallis, Dylan Brown. And look, I don't know who this fourth guy is going to be. I guess I'll just chuck in one for fun. And I will go with... who's just achieved it all? Who's just achieved it all in their career? I'll go Cameron Smith. I'll go Cameron Smith to just bask in the glory. So then you got Cameron Smith and Andrew Johns on the island. How good would that be?
Yeah. And so my choice, I'll spoil my own rules, and I'll add a coach into mine, even though it's not the correct thing. But I will add Wayne Bennett to save me. No nonsense. You won't be mucking around. You just get the job done. I'd get Ben Hunt. I would go with Nelson of Sofa Solomona.
Oh, right.
I would probably also go Dane Laurie. And
okay.
I would also go Rebel Campbell Gillard. And I would go Luke Metcalf.
Very nice choices.
And we have a fair bit of extra time, so if you'd like to ask me a question while there's a break in between the other ones you can make, you can ask me anything you like.
I'll ask you what your most anticipated matchup for the Dragons is in 2023. Obviously, there's the new matchup against the Dolphins that you could be looking forward to, or there could just be like that rivalry game that you're just like, I'm circling that one on the calendar.
I'm really looking forward to the Dragons-Dolphins game. Be the first NRL game I'll be at for the year. I'm really looking forward to that one. That should be, depending on how the Dolphins' first 4 games go before then, it could be a really good game. And I suppose if I had to pick another one, I'm also looking forward to Dragons Manly.
I think I'm looking forward to Dragons Storm. You've got Tarek Sims going up against his old club. That's going to be phenomenal. And the Dragons don't play too bad against the Storm in recent years. Sometimes, look, there has been some blowouts, but they can be competitive. So watch out for you Dragons fans next year.
So what's your most anticipated game for next year?
My most anticipated game for next year, I always look forward to the grand final rematch. So being the Eels and the Panthers, and the record that we have in regular season against the Panthers is really exciting. I'm really looking forward to round 1. I can't get there. I'm going to be in LA. I'm going to be in America at some NBA games and things like that during the time of that Eels and Storm opener. And I can't believe I'm missing us open the season. But I'll probably say the Eels and the Panthers. But another game that I think no one's spoken about, I can't wait for the Cowboys and the Eels up there in Townsville. We beat them prelim to get into a grand final, and they are going to be filthy. And they're going to be a very good side next year, the Cowboys. So that one I got circled. I can't wait. And it's also me versus Nick from Australia, which is always good.
Yep. And who do you go for in the NBA, mate?
Mate, I'll go for the Lakers. I've been a Lakers fan for about 15 years. We got a win today against the Washington Wizards. I've got a LeBron James jersey, a custom Kobe jersey. So I love watching my NBA. If I did have to pick a second team, it's the team I'm seeing over in LA as well, the Memphis Grizzlies. But I've always had a soft spot for Kobe as a kid. And then just playing those 2K games in those purple colours was just too much fun to not go for them.
And I also throw down I'm a Bucks supporter, so
Milwaukee?
Yeah, Milwaukee. So
they've got
we won again. We got some very good players.
Yeah,
we got some very good players.
They're doing well.
So we'll get back onto the other questions, mate. So, what was your honours sport for the Eels season for 2022?
Well, I think we overachieved. I had this team finishing inside the top 4. So look, I can tick that off my box. But the fact that we lost and we were so inconsistent, and everybody just said that window was closed for the most part. There are a few people that believed in us going to the grand final, a couple people, but for the most part, I think we really that.
I don't know what happened. Sorry, mate. Sure. I don't know what happened there on the screen. It just went off again. So
I think the best part about Parramatta's season is the fact that they were able to beat the big teams and turn up for those big games, beat your Melbourne Storm, beat your Sydney Roosters, even though they weren't the benchmark last year. Oh, they just need to beat the Rabbitohs, man. They beat the Panthers. They just need to beat the Rabbitohs. That's our absolute Achilles heel, weakness, bogey team. And it's not fun being an Eels fan watching Parramatta versus Rabbitohs because you're always on the other side of the draw on that one.
And mate, what are your thoughts on the NRLW?
I enjoy the NRLW. I think it's great that Parramatta's got a side and there's more sides coming in next year. You can definitely see the crowds are building slower and slower. You can still see that there are a lot of people that aren't interested turning up, some negative things online, but I would say that 70 to 80% of the not really support that was there is now there, which is, I've lost you there, mate. It's just me in the show at the moment. Well, he's coming back.
Yeah, sorry everybody. There is some technical difficulties, so hopefully we can get this all going. I'm sorry, bro. It's just been some technical difficulties, but I think everybody will still be able to watch this. So I just want to say hello to the 8 people that are watching and commenting, except Caitlin. Get off my live stream, my friend. But we'll continue with the stream, mate. So if you would say with the Eels last year, I would say that they did a really good job considering from 2021, I thought they weren't going to come close to the 8 for 22. I actually had them for the wooden spoon. So they did really well. Yeah. And I got lucky enough to go and see that Melbourne Storm game with Ray Stone got the match-winning tries, and that was a great game. Did you get to watch that one, mate?
Do you mean live?
Yeah, or just in general.
So I had a mate's birthday party down in Sydney, and we were watching it while eating steak and ribs. I actually had a ticket to that game, and I was meant to go to Melbourne, but I couldn't get that last day off work, which really sucked because it would have been the game that broke the Golden Point curse for me, which I broke later in the season. But that was an incredible game of football, and Parramatta had it as obviously we won it, but we really, really had the Storm on the ropes. And then Pappenhausen with that breakaway, phenomenal game, one of the games of the year for sure.
And if you got another question for me, mate, I'm all ears. So you want to ask me something else?
Yeah, mate, outside of the Dragons, which team do you tend to support the most? Even if you don't wear merchandise for them, which team do you just think, you know what, I get behind this team and I really enjoy watching them over the years? Whether there's been multiple, not a second team, just which team do you enjoy barracking for if you can?
I kind of have a little bit of a soft spot for the Eels, only because my uncle goes for them and my auntie and a couple of my cousins and got a relative that played for the Eels at one point, so a little bit for the Eels. I was happy for them to get to the grand final. Just disappointed they didn't win.
Absolutely. Very disappointing.
I probably should have told you, mate, that my cousin Rory O'Brien played for Parramatta in the NRL and reserve grade as well. So I go for them.
That's fantastic.
He only played one game of NRL, but yeah, I guess I could say Parramatta, but don't support them. But I'm just happy for them when they go well.
That's good. Appreciate it.
What about you?
For me, I think it's the Raiders. I think my stepdad going for the Raiders. The interview I did with Josh Papali'i. I've also spoken with Josh Hodgson and Matt Tomoko, Sebastian Chris. I've done 2 or 3 trips to Canberra now. And look, I really, really enjoy getting behind the Raiders, whether it be a away game or a home game. Got a bit of a soft spot for them. Don't mind the Knights as well. They get a really good crowd, and they're obviously my local team being Central Coast based. But I would say Canberra. I really enjoy getting behind the Raiders sometimes.
And what are your thoughts on the Dolphins?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Dolphins. It's going to be a really interesting year. They've got a lot of former premiership winners from the Storm. Obviously, Felice Kafusi, a great signing, and then the leadership of the Bromwich brothers. I love Wayne Bennett as a coach. I think he's, if not one of the best coaches of all time, the best coach of all time, potentially. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to what he can produce. So it was a miraculous run from South Sydney last year to get into the grand final on the back of Wayne Bennett and what he did for Benji Marshall and some of those rotations. So he's going to have a game plan all season long. And I'm looking forward to Dolphins taking on the Storm just because of how many players, former players there. It's just going to be so good to see that matchup. I can't wait.
And who's your favourite signing the Dolphins have made?
Look, a lot of names are coming to my head at the moment. I would probably have to say, I feel like I'd say Kenny Bromwich. I feel like I'd say Kenny Bromwich. I think there's some real good talent around the side, but just for the most part, that experience of Kenny Bromwich, whether it be in a Maori jersey, New Zealand, like a New Zealand, like New Zealand versus Australia jersey, or whether it be Indigenous All Stars versus Maori All Stars, he's got that experience in the big games. So for me, I think Kenny Bromwich is a huge signing for the Dolphins next year. So I still do question the halves. We'll see how they go, but Milford and Sean O'Sullivan, just don't know how they're going to work together.
I'd have to probably say my favourite one they've signed is, I'd have to say 2 players, Tabuai Fido.
Yep.
And Tom Gilbert.
Yeah, Tom Gilbert, a great signing from the North Queensland Cowboys, very underrated player. Obviously, both the players you've mentioned have come from the Cowboys and the Hammer. Great to watch, as always. So looking forward to him getting way more game time in 2023.
And I'll also say about the Dolphins is I think, considering the time they've had, they've put together a better roster than I thought they would. I don't know if you kind of agree, but, when they first came in, they struggled so much to get players, to now being 28 players out of 30. They've done a decent job. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job for the most part, but I still think they don't have that marquee signing. They wanted Munster, they wanted Mitchell Moses, they wanted Kalen Ponga, and they didn't get any of those players. So it's interesting because as nice as that roster looks and can definitely compete in the NRL, I feel like in the next 2 years for them to be as competitive as they want to be, they're definitely going to need to get some money out and buy someone who has that experience and is on big money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought with the Dolphins that they were going to get Munster. But to be honest, I thought they were going to get Munster. I don't know, but did you think they were, or did you always think he'd stay at Storm?
I think there are a few instances where I thought they might get Munster, yeah, or even Kalen Ponga. Kalen Ponga took a long time to re-sign with the Knights, and I thought Kalen Ponga under Wayne Bennett might give it a crack. I was pretty surprised to see him re-sign, actually. So, and then Dylan Brown. I actually probably thought Dylan Brown may head to the Dolphins in the next 2 to 3 years, but obviously he's re-signed with Parramatta today, which is huge news.
And I think that's the best thing Parramatta could have done. Even if they don't re-sign Moses, getting to keep Brown is the best option long term, I think, personally.
Yep. Absolutely agree with you. I love Mitchell Moses. I can't say enough good things about him, but as you mentioned, going for the future of the club, you've seen Dylan Brown's game develop from 2018, from a junior to now, and he's coming off the biggest season of his career, without a doubt.
I think it'd be sad for them to lose Moses, but to keep Brown is a definite better option. But I do think they'll keep Moses, to be honest. But I think he's ridiculous if he knocks back over $1 million to join another club.
I personally think Moses may end up at the Tigers. I really do. And I think that will probably bring Adam Doueihi out of the Tigers, maybe.
You know, the Dragons trying to get their mitts on Doueihi. I don't know if you've probably seen the photos of him at the Dragons facility at Cogra. This morning there was leaked images of him and his management there. So
yeah, that would be a fantastic signing for the Dragons, whether you put him at centre or put him in the halves. Adam Doueihi at the Dragons, imagine that.
I'd put him at fullback, to be honest, if we got him.
Yep.
The other question I've got for you, mate, is do you think that with all the buys next year that it will work out? And I mean, how do I word that better? Like, do you think it's going to work out for a period of time, or do you think they need to really get an 18th team quicker?
Oh, I think they absolutely need to get an 18th team. I don't think any team wants to be sitting out regular weekly buys. I know they do it in the NFL. In the NFL, they do about 2 buys per season, or maybe even 1, but you just have every team taking turns week by week. And I don't think it's going to work out. And I think they're probably in the background planning this 18th team. And then maybe next year they'll look at taking the highest bidder option, because that's what sport's all about these days. It's all about money. We know that. We've learned that. But absolutely, I think there should be an 18th team. And it would be pretty cool for the New Zealand team, who obviously got the favours of staying in Australia during that tough pandemic period. So it'd be pretty cool to see another New Zealand team, maybe from the opposite islands of New Zealand.
I would love to see Papua New Guinea get a team, PNG get a team.
That would be a pretty interesting, that would be pretty cool.
Because their team in the Queensland Cup is really good, and you see videos over there of some really good players. I think the club there, but I'd hate to see another New South Wales club. I think we've got too many in New South Wales, or maybe Perth might be an option, but I would go PNG and Perth, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I think it's useless having a team having a bye every week, because I only just found out it matches up to the New South Wales Cup as well, and Queensland Cup.
There you go.
So it's like the players, I just don't think it's going to work out, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So we only have 6 minutes left, mate. I'm trying to rest my voice. I've got a Christmas concert tomorrow, so trying to rest my voice up. So we'll get on to the final four questions. And what are your thoughts on the Super League?
Yeah, mate, I don't mind the Super League. I don't get to watch too much Super League just because it's so early throughout the year. I think since about maybe 2015, 2014, I've been a Wigan Warriors fan. And they've had some really good players come from there as well. You got John Bateman, Bevan French has gone over there. So, a few of the Wigan boys, Oliver Gildart as well, came over to the NRL. Obviously didn't really make it, particularly in the NRL compared to his Super League form, but it's an enjoyable game, and there's been some very, very defensive tight contests that I've watched and just been like, wow, that was an incredible game. Just like American sports, lots of upsets. I feel like there's more upsets in the Super League than there is in the NRL, but it should be a great Super League season coming up in the next couple months.
And do you think St Helens can go 5 in a row?
Oh, mate, they are the benchmark of that competition for a reason. They just look threatening. But a few teams really give them the push throughout the year, whether it be in the regular season, because they're always dominant in the final game. But coming into those finals, sometimes they get a bit of a scare. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say St Helens might make the final probably again next year. But I think they may just lose that title to someone next year.
And I'm a Warrington Wolves fan, mate, so I'm hoping for us to go to the grand final. So that's my picks, and St Helens and Warrington.
Yep.
It's just disappointing with the time difference. That's the only thing for me. It's annoying. It's really good. Some of their signings this year, they've taken probably nearly a dozen of NRL experience to Warrington. We'll just move on from that. Do you see next year Melbourne being in the top 4 still?
Oh, that's a really good question. It's obviously Craig Bellamy's last year. Munster's re-signed. There's a lot going on over the club. I haven't even mucked around with the NRL's ladder predictor, so I think I'll have to do that to answer your question. But off the top of my head, I'm going to say yes. I think Melbourne might find themselves back in the top 4 and have a much better season. Hopefully they can stay injury-free. They had a huge run of injuries this year, which probably stopped them from being a title contender. So they're going to be out for blood, and I feel like even if they are 4th, they're going to be somewhere in that top 4.
I think people will think I'm crazy, but I have Melbourne out of the top 8 this year.
Ooh, big prediction, that one, especially Craig Bellamy's last year of coach.
I know, but I just think personally I've got them in 9th with the chance of 8th, but I don't have them in the top 8.
That's a crazy...
Especially if Pappenhausen goes down in the first early rounds, I definitely don't have them in the 8.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's been out for now how long? Concussions, leg injuries. I just wish he'd get a full season where he doesn't get injuries or suspensions or anything, because he's a great player.
Well,
I don't know if
he'd push for that Dally M medal. He would push for that Dally M medal with a fully fit season for sure.
And he's just going to continue to grow. He's going to probably be such a great player, and we haven't seen the best out of him yet.
Mm.
And fortunately, we got rid of him. He was at the Dragons at one point as well. Number one, we let go of him. So we've seemed to let go of a lot of players. We've had Hastings was at the Dragons with heaps of players. Wishard. So, yeah.
Let go of you.
The other one, who would you have to captain the Bulldogs next year?
Oh, mate, that's a really interesting question. Look, could you say Josh Addo-Carr? Could you give him that opportunity? I think you could. I think Josh Addo-Carr has obviously been with the New South Wales Blues, the Indigenous All-Stars as a captain. He's been with the Kangaroos. He's just about done it all. Now he's won a World Cup, riding that confidence as well. I don't think it'll happen, but off the top of my head, not thinking of that entire Bulldogs team, I would say Josh Addo-Carr would be a great choice of captain for what he brings to the field.
I agree with you, mate, but if I had to pick out of their team, I'd go Raymond Fatala-Mariner.
Yep, that's a good choice as well.
And the other question, this is the last question of the show, mate, the NRL questions, and then I've got one other question for you. So the last question of the show for 2022 is early prediction for the grand final.
Oh, okay. So I haven't had too much time to think about it, and obviously my pre-season video will come out around the last week of February as we head into the 2023 season. But I am really high on 3 teams at present, and I think Penrith, I think their time will probably come to an end. I think they will make the top 4. I think they might make it through to maybe week 2 of the finals, early prediction. But at this current stage, subject to change, I am going to say that the Rabbitohs will book themselves a spot in the grand final. And I'm going to say that the Rabbitohs will play Melbourne.
That would be a great grand final. That would be a good one. My personal prediction is Roosters Broncos.
Roosters Broncos.
As long as the Broncos fix up their trouble off the field and on the field, I think they're a really good chance against Roosters Broncos. But I'll probably make a different prediction when my prediction video does officially come out next year.
Yeah.
But that was the last question of the show. But the other question I've got for you, mate, is your favourite fast food restaurant?
Oh, mate, it's down to 2. The first one is Mad Mex. Absolutely love Mad Mex. Getting a burrito with chorizo, beef, cheese, and medium, whatever that herb sauce, whatever it is. But, mate, there's something about Oporto. The chili chicken Oporto. The quarter chicken box with the pita bread, chips, the chili chicken. I think Oporto is right up there with my favourite fast food. It used to be KFC, but I reckon Oporto has overtaken it. Very underrated food.
And the final question I've got for you, mate, is if you could sit down at lunch with anybody from history, alive or dead, and it could be anybody you want.
Oh, anybody I want, alive from history. Sheesh,
alive, current. It can be current, in the past, alive or dead, whoever you want.
Oh, mate, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think off NRL because we've been talking NRL all night, so there's all these NRL players popping in my head. But I think you'd want to meet. I would say it comes down to 2 people due to inspiration and finding the positivity in life. I would say maybe Gandhi as one choice, or the other choice, speaking about that inspiration and hope that life isn't all bad, Martin Luther King.
Very good choice, mate. And my personal choice would be 2 as well. Albert Einstein would definitely be one. And also the late, great Kobe Bryant.
Yes, Kobe would be a fantastic soul to be around. I was thinking it in my head a few times. He snuck in there.
I actually had the privilege of, I didn't meet him. He walked past me Unfortunately, I didn't get a photo. His security wasn't letting people get a photo, but I definitely pick him. It'd just be great to talk to him, even if it wasn't about NBA, just in general. He seemed a very interesting guy. And
Yep.
been a very privilege having you here. And to end the show, my voice does not sound good, but this is how I'm going to end the podcast. What's good about goodbye? So thank you, everybody, for joining my podcast for 2022. And we'll see you next year. And thank you very much, Entertain House. And peace, everybody.
Keep up the good work, mate.
We'll catch up at some point in person, hopefully.
Like a good idea. Thank you for having me on.
All good.